Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star original continent based on novel. So let's start. It was like the destruction of the universe. Endless waves of impact howled, then spread out, sweeping in all directions. A portion of the incomplete whirlpool passageways that collided against the surface of Luo Feng's blood ghost blade sent him rolling and flying into the distance. The strong impact upon being hit caused Luo Feng great discomfort. Instantly, he spat out a mouthful of blood. After becoming a true god, Luo Feng's blood had changed to the normal red color of ordinary blood. How mysterious. How very mysterious. Luo Feng was not the least bit angry. On the contrary, he was filled with delight. The first round, he had merely observed how Star Tower fought and resisted against destruction. But this time around, he was wielding blood ghost blade with his own hands and resisting destruction personally. Now, he had a clearer comprehension of the origin of destruction. Naturally, he had gained much more than before. As for that mouthful of blood he had spat out, was it a big deal? It was nothing to worry about at all. As for the consumption of his godly body, given Luo Feng's massive godly body, it was negligible. Sector Beast Betty saw how Luo Feng was able to transform back into a streak of flowing light to charge at it after spitting out a mouthful of blood. It was flabbergasted. You can resist that. It had never occurred to Betty that Milky Way Horde leader would actually be able to resist destruction up front, without the help of any treasures, such as the palace-type treasure, Star Tower. Is this your strongest move? Said Luo Feng. It's so average. Luo Feng tore his way through space. Blood ghost blade appeared in his hands once again. A blade ray sliced through space. His blade transformed into a gigantic, luminous winged dragon. The resplendent dragon, illuminated with white light, was gracefully flapping its wings as it directed itself towards Betty. Then, without hesitation, it swooped toward the Sector Beast. Sector Beast Betty dared not forcibly resist. It was aware that this move Luo Feng had made was only one notch less superior than destruction. If Betty was hit by Luo Feng's attack, the amount of power it would lose would almost be the same as what it required to execute destruction once. Since the exchange of blows had started up until now, it had already executed destruction twice. Betty was merely a Sector Beast that had only just crossed over to the 5th stage, meaning to say that it had yet to reach the top level. If it continued executing this move, then at this rate, Luo Feng need not even lift a finger, Betty would already be devoid of the strength to resist. Split. Sector Beast Betty divided its body into 99 avatars, which then fled in all directions. The dazzling white dragon raised its head, and with a loud roar, was instantly disintegrated into 1,000 streaks of white light. These streaks of light burst out and shot toward the 99 avatars. Then, suddenly, those among the 99 avatars that were bombarded by the streaks of white light were dispersed to nothingness. Eventually, all that was left was the original body of Betty on the run. Its original body had been hit by 3 streaks of white light, but Betty was still on the run, escaping as fast as it could. Betty, I am out now, said Luo Feng, yet you reject the chance to do battle. Luo Feng's speed obviously surpassed Betty's, as he was rapidly closing up the distance between them. Betty did not make a single utterance in reply. All it did was try its best to escape from Luo Feng. How about another round? That move of yours, isn't it meant to be very impressive? The closer Luo Feng was, the more he lamented the misfortune. From Morosa, he had learned that the number of ordinary 5th stage Sector Beasts, who were able to execute destruction, was not great to begin with. To execute the move, the amount of power exhausted was too great a toll to pay. Apparently, at the moment, Betty was no longer willing to execute the move again. If only I could observe it a few more times, it would definitely be a great advantage for me, Luo Feng complained to himself. He had felt destruction twice, and it was a shocking advantage he had gained. He felt that so long as he could digest the information a little more, he would be able to create a secret technique at the 12th tier. It was important to note that every step forward was only going to get tougher. Besides, Luo Feng had set the reins and limited himself to the true god level, so technically, it was even more difficult for him to level up. True god of void space, an eternal true god. How was he going to ascend to the different levels? Firstly, through normal comprehension. Secondly, by observing the evolution of his own miniature universe. If the miniature universe of a true god was too small, the level of insight that its evolution entailed would also be lower. Like the birth and destruction of the primal universe, it was so deeply profound that even countless great beings from the ancient civilization were eager to lay their eyes on it. This was the exact reason why Sitting Mountain Guest had wanted Luo Feng to make such a request from the willpower of the primal universe origin. The miniature universe of a true god was the smallest, whereas the miniature universe of a true god of void space was slightly bigger. The internal evolution of a true god of void space involved a deeper level of insight. The miniature universe of an eternal true god was even more massive, and the internal operation was, thus, even more mystical. He was constantly increasing. If Luo Feng achieved a breakthrough to become a true god, he believed that the improvement he would make in comprehending his miniature universe would be much faster. But he dared not, at the moment, because he needed to limit himself to the level of a true god. Since this is what you are going to do, then you only have yourself to blame, Luo Feng said, letting out a snort. A wave of godly power came surging out and rapidly. It moved to bind Sector Beast Betty, which was not too far away. His godly power and the power of Sector Beast were consuming each other crazily. The two heads of Sector Beast Betty turned to look at Luo Feng. It gave Luo Feng a dead stare, and through gritted teeth, it said, Milky Way Horde Leader, I will remember this. Sector Beast Betty raised its head suddenly to let out a roar of reluctance. Ah! Its roar sounded full of madness and sorrow. Along with the roar, its body was radiating rich, colorful lights. The most important sector within its body was burning like crazy. This was a recourse that sector beasts were most unwilling to take. For the most powerful of all sector beasts, to have to make this choice meant that if it ever wanted to climb back up to its rank as number one, the difficulty would increase by tens of thousands of times. Not good. Luo Feng became aware right away that this sector beast, Betty, wanted to execute Sector Light Passageway. Behind him, 5 pairs of resplendent wings were outspread. They were all blazing to the maximum limit, as they madly infused godly power into Shawu wings. The 4th pair of wings were activated, and instantly, every secret engraving on this 4th pair of wings lit up dazzlingly. A single thought void space dissipated without further delay, while at the same time, a miniature universe with a diameter of up to 10,000 light-years was born out of nowhere. There was chaotic airflow everywhere. The golden waves that were formed by Pearl of the Golden Ocean made up only a small region of the entire miniature universe. This was the 4th stage of Shawu Wings, establish a universe with a single thought. No, cried Betty. The Sector Light Passageway, which was about to complete its formation, was suddenly oppressed by the power of the origin of Luo Feng's miniature universe. Immediately, it collapsed. This brought a look of terror to Sector Beast Betty's face. It was reluctant. It went mad, shouting, another time, blaze. The colorful light radiated by Sector Beast Betty was much richer. It had only intended to lower down to the 4th stage, but now, it could not be bothered with anything else. Even if it had to be lowered to the 3rd stage, it would accept its fate. So long as it could escape, nothing else mattered. Under the pressure exerted by the great origin of the miniature universe, Sector Light Passageway was unable to take form. This. Betty was desperate. It did not have any power left for consumption. This was because, falling from the 5th to the 4th stage, the energy of the Sector Light produced was most abundant. From the 4th to the 3rd stage, the energy that the Sector Light produced was much lesser. There was no need to even mention the energy produced for the next transition downward. It had fallen all the way from the 5th stage to the 3rd stage, just like that, and yet was so easily subdued. Such a gap in ability, from resistance to total helplessness. This made it clear to Sector Beast Betty that even if he were to add more Sector Light energy, anything he did would be useless. How is this possible? Said Sector Beast Betty. How can it be that I I have already crossed over to the 5th stage. Betty found this hard to believe. It looked around at the omnipresent, chaotic airflow, then back at the faraway Luo Feng. Luo Feng merely smiled. He could execute the move of establish a universe with a single thought, all thanks to Sector Beast Betty. Before they had exchanged fire, he had still been a hair's breadth away from fully comprehending the 4th stage of Shu Wings. That tiny margin that separated him from complete comprehension hindered his success of breaking through. And yet, by witnessing Sector Beast Betty execute destruction, which was also the first time Betty had used it, he had been able to gain an understanding, and thus, he could rapidly overcome that tiny margin of comprehension preventing him from learning how to activate the 4th stage of Shu Wings. And when Sector Beast Betty executed destruction the 2nd time, Luo Feng had been able to comprehend even more. To establish a single thought void space. To establish a universe with a single thought. Both were methods of controlling time and space. While the control utilized by a single thought void space was considered limited, that of establish a universe with a single thought gave rise to control over a miniature universe. It was so strong that it was terrifying. To be able to establish a universe, how could Sector Light Passageway possibly break free? Except death. Star Tower flew out from the middle of Luo Feng's hand immediately. It hovered suspended in mid-air, and from its base, endless dark whirlpools were forming to enshroud Sector Beast Betty in the distance. Having fallen all the way back to a 3rd stage Sector Beast, Betty was simply powerless against the dual controlling powers of Star Tower and Luo Feng's miniature universe. "You are so vicious," said Sector Beast Betty, bound by the dark whirlpool and compelled to fly toward the black hole at the base of Star Tower. It gave Luo Feng, who stood a distance away, a blank stare as it roared, "Milky Way Horde leader, you are indeed the greatest obstruction in the way of the entire Sector Beast clan. However, no one has ever succeeded at stopping the rise of us Sector Beasts, no one at all. All who try to stop us will all be destroyed by us." Sector Beast Betty stared daggers at Luo Feng. "You, and all of your race," said Betty. "It's destiny that all of you will be destroyed. This is your fate, and there is no way you can defy fate." Ha ha ha. Sector Beast Betty's entire being exploded in a loud blast. Then, there was nothingness. Luo Feng watched the entire scene from afar. Betty had chosen to self-destruct. There was simply nothing he could do. Back when Morosa had attempted to self-destruct, he had only been at the level of a 2nd stage pinnacle Sector Beast. Luo Feng had been able to rely on the suppression power of Star Tower, the power of the origin of his miniature universe, and the power of single thought void space. Superimposing these 3 layers, he had been able to keep Morosa under suppression, so that it was unable to self-destruct. But even if Betty had been downgraded, it would still have been at the 3rd stage pinnacle level, while he only had the power of the origin of his miniature universe, which he could use as suppression. The ability to establish a universe with a single thought, when compared to ordinary True God's miniature universes, was undoubtedly much more powerful, but it was still a far cry from Luo Feng's formidable and powerful miniature universe. Betty was annihilated. Right before Betty was annihilated, it would, unquestionably, transmit any information it desired to the other Sector Beasts to know, excluding Morosa, right away. That way, they could detect the news without delay. The Sector Beast's nest fell into total darkness. Nearly 10 million Sector Beasts were scattered all over. On normal days, these beasts would be fighting one another in life and death battles, just for the chance to emerge as the final king of the pack. They were natural-born destroyers. Noble as they were, they had never looked up to any of the other races in Universe Ocean. In their eyes, even those in their breeding period, the various other races of Universe Ocean were merely food. "I am Betty," read the message. "Universe Ocean's #1 master, Milky Way Horde leader Luo Feng, has penetrated the heart of our land of darkness. He has already entered the heart of our land of darkness. I might have crossed over to the 5th stage. But I am still not his match. He is much stronger than any of us expected. All Sector Beasts, our moment of life and death crisis has truly arrived. When it comes to confronting this Milky Way Horde leader, if we do not unite in the face of this enemy, we Sector Beasts will all perish at his hands." This is the greatest crisis we sector beasts face. All of us must face this crisis together. Abandon all fighting. Together, we must join forces to annihilate Milky Way Horde leader. I have executed Sector Light Passageway, yet I am still unable to escape. I must self-destruct, but all my fellow sector beasts, bear this in mind. I, a 5th stage sector beast, Betty, have died at the hands of Luo Feng. And all of you have to kill him. Kill Milky Way Horde leader. Kill Milky Way Horde leader. Sector Beast Betty's voice resonated within the hearts of close to 10 million sector beasts of the Land of Darkness. At that moment, regardless of how wild their ambitious minds were, every single sector beast fell silent. Almost 10 million sector beasts were densely crowded together, yet at that moment, there was an unprecedented silence, demonstrating that all of them were in unison. Shortly after, they all came to realize that Betty, whom they had all been able to detect earlier, had suddenly vanished. Betty had been annihilated. Roar! 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 Tens of millions of sector beasts in the entire sector beast nest raised their heads and roared as one. Amidst their roars was endless rage and madness. Kill Milky Way Horde leader. Kill Milky Way Horde leader. Kill Milky Way Horde leader. One by one, the sector beasts were transmitting their own voices. Every single sector beast could hear the countless voices of its fellow sector beasts. Tens of millions of them were all transmitting their voices in sync, in the same rhythm and tone, all sending the same message: kill Milky Way Horde leader. All the sector beasts in the Land of Darkness were shocked and furious. First, that Milky Way Horde leader had enslaved Morosa. And now, he'd killed Betty, who had reached level 5. Betty had been a sector beast with the most powerful attack technique, destruction. Yet he had been killed. Milky Way Horde leader was definitely a threat to the entire sector beast race. We have to kill him. We can't let him get away. We're everywhere in the Land of Darkness. How did he get into the hinterland and kill Betty? Even if he has the guidance of Morosa, he should have gotten lost and been unable to tell where he was upon entering the Land of Darkness. With help from Morosa, it's possible that he was able to reach the hinterland. All we need to do is kill him. We must surround him in a large group. We need enough sector beasts. Otherwise, with the help of Morosa, he can easily get away again. He killed Betty this time. Next time, it might be Chi Ya and Long Zhuo. He'll kill us all, from the strongest to the weakest. He has to die. We can't let him get away. He killed Betty right at where Betty stood. Countless sector beasts were transmitting their voices. The minds of sector beasts worked just as quickly as those of true gods, so it was easy for them to keep contact with several million voices at the same time. Ferocious sector beasts were yelling and raging, and they all rushed toward the place where Betty had died, especially the sector beasts who were nearby. They rushed there even faster. We have to find him so he won't get away. Every sector beast understood. Milky Way Horde leader was already more powerful than all the other sector beasts, and without him alive, the ultimate king of the sector beasts might not even be born. Besides, Milky Way Horde leader had the guidance of Morosa, so it would be easy for him to get away, which meant they had to find him as quickly as possible. If they couldn't find him in time, Milky Way Horde leader might get away. That meant they would all converge on Luo Feng, even if they might be killed. When faced with a common threat, the sector beasts, who had been born for destruction, would team up and stand against the enemy. After the silver-armored Luo Feng killed Betty, he immediately teleported and changed direction. Morosa, he said, mark all the sector beasts and tell me where they are going. In Luo Feng's miniature universe, the godly-powered avatar was talking to Morosa. Morosa said with excitement, "Yes, Master. Master, you're so impressive. Betty was already at level 5, yet he was still killed by you. He couldn't even run away. Mark them now." The avatar didn't sound content at all. This fight was not just about Luo Feng's destiny, it was related to everything he guarded. For the Earthlings and for his family members, Luo Feng would kill all the sector beasts, or he would die trying. I am trying to sense it. Morosa sensed it as it was controlling the giant model of the enormous land of darkness. On the model of the floating, giant oval, almost 10 million spots of light were scattered throughout the land of darkness suddenly started to move all at once. Over 1 million started to converge on the area where Betty had died. All 1 million plus spots rushed in that direction. He could see that the spots of light were gathering. The density was increasing in that particular area. The godly-powered avatar looked solemn. He understood that each light spot represented a sector beast, and those 1 million plus spots of light were converging toward the center. 1 million sector beasts were gathering in one place. Master, there are around 1.63 million sector beasts converging on you, Master, said Morosa. All these sector beasts are at least at pinnacle level 2, and after they burn their blood, they are only slightly weaker than your teacher Primal Chaos City Leader. So many sector beasts. Master, you. Morosa was indeed concerned. Over 1 million sector beasts was equivalent to over 1 million true gods. And they weren't ordinary true gods, but true gods who used machine-type valuables at the same level as Blood Orchid Ancestor. If all those sector beasts attacked at the same time, even 100 true gods of void space would be annihilated. Only this many. The godly-powered avatar frowned. Master. Morosa was dazed. Only this many. For over 1 million sector beasts. How do we get the other sector beasts to also converge? Asked the avatar. Master, you killed Betty without even giving it a chance to run away, which terrifies many of the sector beasts, said Morosa. That's why over 1 million sector beasts are gathering there. I've never seen them so serious. It would be very difficult to get more sector beasts to go there. The godly-powered avatar nodded. In the endless land of darkness, giant rocks were floating. It seems we need to get more sector beasts to come here. We need to make them realize that 1 million sector beasts are not enough to fight me. More will gather when they realize that. The more sector beasts, the better, thought Luo Feng. The more sector beasts there are, the more useful the origin will be. Luo Feng was looking forward to it. The origin was unique. The godly power contained in machine-type valuables by eternal true gods from the world of Jin dissipated the second it left the world. Apparently, the supreme laws had an influence on everything. However, the origin in Subduing was in accord with the standards of the supreme laws, which was why Luo Feng was able to use it. Perhaps this origin is the one chance we have against the sector beast crisis. Luo Feng exclaimed. Without the origin, even he would feel hopeless facing all those 10 million sector beasts. As for the origin, it was the maximum energies contained in the complete version of Chaotic Golden Wings, Subduing, that could only be driven by eternal true gods. It was so powerful that even supreme true treasures, true god weapons, would break. Even Luo Feng would be killed by such power if he didn't hide in Star Tower, not to mention sector beasts, without any valuables. I can only perform the origin once, so I need to gather as many sector beasts as possible. It's better that the sector beasts gather here all at once. The attacks from supreme beings could extend to 100 million light years. Luo Feng was able to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to destroy an entire miniature universe. As for destroying a miniature universe, it was like hitting its origin. The origin of a miniature universe was at the exact center of that universe, and it wasn't able to move. So the universe would be destroyed if the origin was annihilated. Let's gather the sector beasts and make them converge as closely as possible. I'll then release all the energies in the origin, sweeping across everything and destroying all the sector beasts. Luo Feng considered, then added, what I need to do now is to get the other 8 million sector beasts to come here. 1.6 million sector beasts were rushing in the same direction, all teleporting as far as possible. They were getting closer and sensing the ripples nearby. If they could sense ripples in an area, but there wasn't a sector beast there, then it had to be where Milky Way Horde Leader was. A ferocious sector beast stood in space, looking around. I've already made it to the place where Betty died, yet Milky Way Horde Leader isn't here. It's only been a while, said another. Milky Way Horde Leader couldn't have gone far. He must be around this area. It's better for us to converge here, but we also need to keep our distance. Each of us can sense and control a particular area, so that he won't be able to escape anywhere. Those sector beasts were transmitting their voices. They had teamed up to form a fragile alliance. They kept their distance, and each was responsible for one area. They moved inward, continuously narrowing the circle. The smaller the circle was, the less space there was for Milky Way Horde leader to run away. Time flew. Where is he? Our circle is already small enough that there isn't any space to get out. We'll definitely find that Milky Way Horde leader in this space. All the sector beasts were looking for him, yet no matter how they tried, they couldn't find him anywhere. There was only one possibility. We spent too long getting into position. He must have gotten away before we could form our circle. This must be the work of Morosa. We can't let him get away. Even if he escapes the encirclement, he won't be able to go far. He must still be in the hinterlands of the land of darkness. We need more of our brethren. Seize him. The sector beasts kept transmitting their voices to each other, shocking the other sector beasts throughout the entire land of darkness. Those million-plus sector beasts were close to the area where Betty had died, yet they still weren't able to trap Milky Way Horde leader. More and more sector beasts began to act, forming a circle that encompassed other areas. Those million-plus sector beasts that had already formed a circle started to teleport outward and moved forward, trying to hunt Luo Feng down. There were so many sector beasts, and if one of them found Luo Feng, all the others would rush toward him as well. Master, said Morosa, controlling the giant model of the land of darkness. There are around 6 million sector beasts coming at you, including the more than 1 million sector beasts from before. They are coming at you from all different areas, narrowing their encirclement. It'll be very difficult for you to get out, Master. Sector beasts were able to sense one another, but Morosa was far away, in the miniature universe of Luo Feng, so it couldn't locate those sector beasts accurately enough. It was no longer able to provide Luo Feng with a reliable route to run away. I know. The godly power avatar smiled. 6 million. Morosa looked at Luo Feng, confused. The more sector beasts there were, the happier its master was. They couldn't find me before, so they're trying to look harder, thought Luo Feng. There are already 6 million of them, and there are only 9 million sector beasts in total. Even if those on the periphery are coming, they can't encircle me very well. I can't attract more by hiding. I need to kill them. I need to kill as many of them as possible, so they know what a threat I am. I'll force them all to come here. Those 6 million sector beasts acting now can't trap me, and those on the periphery will become more anxious. The rock changed into a silver-armored man, with 5 pairs of gleaming wings wide open. Luo Feng teleported about the vast void space in the land of darkness right away. Morosa, mark all those who are likely to be 3rd and 4th stage sector beasts, especially those who are here to lay siege on me, ordered the godly-powered avatar. Since he was going to carry out a massacre, then undoubtedly, he had to try his best to get rid of some of the more powerful sector beasts. The greater the number of powerful sector beasts being annihilated, the stronger the trigger would be for the other sector beasts, thus throwing them into greater fear and rage. Understood. Morosa was extremely cooperative, because he also desired for his master to kill all the other sector beasts. Then Morosa would become the final king of them all. As for the question of whether it would feel any pity, how was that even possible? Its foundation was entirely different. It was now completely on Luo Feng's side. After being enslaved, it yearned for all the other beasts to die, and this feeling was mutual for the other sector beasts, who were also after its life most eagerly. Master, the one nearest to you is Mangtar. It should be at the 3rd stage pinnacle, but of course, there is the possibility of a 4th stage. Back then, I exchanged blows during several fights with it. More and more sector beasts were rushing over to this vast region, and within a certain area surrounding this vast region, they were searching vigorously. But they did not know that among them, in one of the regions they were in, was a particular mountain where Luo Feng had previously hidden. Back then, all the sector beasts had been oblivious to his presence, because he was using the method of being invisible and formless, to stay out of sight. Sector Beast Mangtar was suspended in the void space as he surveyed the surroundings while sensing for ripples. Its hideous face was filled with rage. Where exactly is he? Where exactly is that loathsome Milky Way horde leader? 6 million sector beasts are here for the purpose of looking for him to besiege him. He has no way of escape, that's for sure. Sector Beast Mangtar was just about to teleport away to continue its search when, suddenly, a wave appeared. Shortly after, within the surroundings of a particular region, everything in space was immediately frozen. Sector Beast Mangtar was unable to teleport even if it wanted to. At first glance, Sector Beast Mangtar spotted an emerging figure from afar. Amid the endless dark void space, a dazzling, silver figure was walking over. On his back were 5 pairs of resplendent wings. He looked at Sector Beast Mangtar and stretched out his right hand, where a miniature 9-story tower appeared out of nowhere. This miniature tower flew out of his palm right away. Above him, the pearl of golden ocean also appeared. Golden waves appeared in his surroundings within a range of 1 light year. Star Tower also remained suspended high in the sky, radiating bright rays. The base of Star Tower formed an endless black whirlpool that enshrouded Sector Beast Mangtar. Milky Way horde leader, roared Sector Beast Mangtar, feeling a mixture of delight, shock, and anger. It was delighted because it had finally found Milky Way horde leader. It was shocked and angry because it was being attacked by Milky Way horde leader. It was currently only a 3rd stage pinnacle sector beast, but it only needed to devour a few more sector beasts to cross over to the next level, the 4th stage. However, it was, nonetheless, still only at the 3rd stage pinnacle level. It was a far cry from Betty, who had been a 5th stage sector beast. When confronting Milky Way horde leader, Mangtar was like a little lamb encountering a prehistoric dinosaur. The two were on completely different levels. The base of Star Tower formed a dark whirlpool that completely contained Sector Beast horde leader under bondage. Furthermore, with Golden Ocean domain in the surroundings exerted extra pressure on it. There was simply no way it could put up a struggle to break free and make its escape. Milky Way horde leader, you are dead. So dead. Sector Beast Mangtar was going crazy as he roared, don't even think of enslaving me. With a loud roar, Sector Beast Mangtar exploded right away. Luo Feng observed the situation and shook his head. Every sector beast's pride was beyond measure, they would rather die than be enslaved. Previously, Morosa had also chosen death over slavery, but it had been suppressed by Luo Feng at the time, so it hadn't been unable to self-destruct. Hence, it had been enslaved. Of course, upon becoming a slave, its loyalty to Luo Feng came from deep within its soul. Such loyalty was heartfelt and absolute, so naturally, Morosa would always take Luo Feng's side. Now that every sector beast knows where I am, said Luo Feng. His eyes flashed with a trace of anticipation, but just as quickly as the look had appeared, it disappeared in a flash. Mangtar has discovered Milky Way horde leader. Milky Way horde leader has appeared in Mangtar's area. Discovered Milky Way horde leader. Mangtar is dead. The other sector beasts, who were madly searching for Milky Way horde leader, were all extremely agitated. Although they had received news that Mangtar had been annihilated, they were not the least bit shocked to learn of it. Rather, what they felt was closer to anger and hatred. After all, even 5th stage Betty had met its doom at the hands of Luo Feng. For another sector beast to be annihilated by Luo Feng was unsurprising. Now, in the heart of every sector beast, Milky Way horde leader was a lofty wall that posed a hindrance to their path. Any lone sector beast that collided with this wall would have its body smashed into pieces and its bones shattered. The ultimate outcome would always be death. Their only hope was to rely on a large number of sector beasts to besiege Luo Feng all at once. Milky Way horde leader's whereabouts have been confirmed. All sector beasts must act in concert, at least a few thousand acting together. Any sector beast acting alone, or even small groups of sector beasts acting together, will not stand a chance against Milky Way horde leader when their paths cross. It must be an extremely large number of us acting as one. Unite! Unite! When these sector beasts truly wanted to deal with this massive threat, which took the form of a human Milky Way horde leader, their level of discipline far surpassed any other soldiers. Previously, in their search for Luo Feng, they had all scattered. Now, they realized that Luo Feng was in their vicinity. Mangtar was one of their members, so for Luo Feng to kill Mangtar, he had to be within their vicinity. And if they were all going to stick to their own area, then naturally, everyone could draw back and concentrate their forces so that Milky Way horde leader did not have even the smallest chance of escape. Rapidly, they drew back their forces from all over. These sector beasts no longer searched at random. In a frenzy, they were heading toward the place where Mangtar had been annihilated. This time, it was not like how Bedi had been annihilated. When Bedi had met his doom, all these sector beasts had been scattered all over, but now, they were relatively more concentrated. Gather. Gather. As they teleported, the sector beasts were also very mindful as they sensed their brothers' positions and movement ripples. Naturally, they got nearer and nearer to one another. Two sector beasts were rapidly acting in concert, and soon, 2 became 3, and 3 became 6. These sector beasts were teleporting as the crowd grew more densely packed. They were gathering like crazy. With the first teleportation, there were 50 in the pack acting together. After the next 2 teleportations, 50 increased to more than 100. The next few teleportations easily brought the number of sector beasts over 500. Very soon, the number reached 1,000. After killing sector beast Mangtar, Luo Feng immediately teleported to the nearest void space, where there was a gushing river. Without further ado, he transformed into river water and drifted along in the direction of the flow. Master, the sector beasts were starting to form groups that are constantly emerging. Now, the largest troop already has more than 100 sector beasts. Oh, now there are more than 300 of them. Morosa was sensing the ripples as he rapidly transmitted the news to Luo Feng. The largest troop now has almost 5,000 sector beasts acting in unison. In the area surrounding this river I'm coursing along with, said the godly-powered avatar, which is the biggest troop. Right here. Morosa guided Luo Feng to a small region that instantly lit up and expanded on the map. This troop has now reached a total of close to 2,000 sector beasts. It is the largest troop within the region near this river. There are 3 other troops with numbers around 800, 1,200, and 1,000, respectively. Within the gushing river, a ball of river water suddenly flew out and condensed into a human form. Silver-armored Luo Feng, with his 5 pairs of wings spread out behind him, whispered, "I shall teach you all the meaning of fear. True fear. Then, the more fearful you all get, the more you all will cast aside all inhibitions to come after me." Without delay, Luo Feng teleported toward the troop with close to 2,000 sector beasts. It was said that 10,000 people constituted a sea of people. Close to 2,000 massive sector beasts gathered together, when seen from afar, would have appeared so densely crowded that the evil aura they exuded would have been enough to instill fear in the true gods of Universe Ocean. Ripples. Close to 2,000 sector beasts could all feel the ripples. The surrounding space instantly froze. "Dear all," said a silver-armored man who appeared amidst the void space. Behind him, resplendent wings were outspread. Milky Way horde leader. Close to 2,000 sector beasts were greatly shocked. "Kill him. Kill Milky Way horde leader." Of the nearly 2,000 sector beasts, none hesitated. Every sector beast was executing its own attacks in the craziest manner. At that moment, every single one was blazing its body with blood light. Apparently, they were all executing their blood-burning techniques, as they threw punches in Luo Feng's direction, bombarding him with their attacks. Countless dazzling black lights shrouded the surroundings, and of course, Luo Feng was also enveloped within their influence. With a single step, Luo Feng entered Star Tower, which appeared out of nowhere. The attacks from nearly 2,000 sector beasts were so forceful that Star Tower was thrown backward upon impact. Inside it, Luo Feng nodded slightly. 2,000 sector beasts joining forces, said Luo Feng. The might of their power is comparable to the power of a 5th-stage sector beast executing destruction. The only difference is that a 5th-stage sector beast is limited to being able to execute destruction only up to a few times, while 2,000 sector beasts, through combined efforts, could execute the same powerful attack up to 100 times without breaking a sweat. It was said that normally, 33 sector beasts would be required for the birth of a higher stage sector beast. However, if actual combat occurred, the combined attacks of 7 to 8 second stage pinnacle stage beasts would be comparable to a third stage pinnacle sector beast. Apparently, the process of devouring other sector beasts for the sake of evolution would cost a great consumption of energy. Hiding within Star Tower. Close to 2,000 sector beasts were looking at Star Tower, feeling frustrated. By now, every sector beast had heard some information about Milky Way Horde leader, and knew that he had a few very impressive treasures. Now, he is hiding. But he cannot hide forever. The number of sector beasts will only continue to increase. 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. By then, if all of us join forces and launch a single attack, Star Tower will shatter. Even if it does not shatter, Luo Feng, who is hiding inside, will die from the impact of that forceful vibration. The sector beasts did not continue to attack. Instead, they kept Star Tower surrounded by using their great numbers as they waited for the other sector beasts to join them. Milky Way Horde leader is here. Milky Way Horde leader is here. The news spread. However, at the same time, as they were moving to surround Star Tower. In the surrounding of an area of a few light years, a mighty miniature universe appeared out of nowhere. This miniature universe was filled with chaotic airflow. It was not considered very large, but its might was certainly not reduced by its size. The might of a miniature universe was determined by its origin, and the origin of this miniature universe, created using the method, establish a universe with a single thought, was Luo Feng himself. More accurately, it was Luo Feng's Shawu wings. Endless golden waves instantly appeared within the entire miniature universe. Luo Feng looked into the distance and could easily detect the location of any sector beast. Kill. This was the single thought in Luo Feng's mind. The combination of the power of the origin of a miniature universe and the power of Golden Ocean had been able to suppress even the 5th stage Bedi, not to mention these second stage sector beasts. The mix of strength instantly dealt a crushing attack against 500 of the over 2,000 sector beasts. All at once, 500 gigantic palms emerged out of nowhere. Each palm violently grabbed hold of a sector beast. 500 gigantic palms, each with a mixture of power from the golden waves and the power of the origin, appeared and were instantly grabbing sector beasts. 500 sector beasts were instantly crushed and shattered. Even the sectors within their bodies were shattered. Thus, the only possible outcome for them was death. When unequivocal eternal true gods like Harmonious Snow executed their miniature universes with just a thought, they could kill tens of thousands of true gods effortlessly. While Luo Feng was still a far cry from them, to kill 500 second stage pinnacle level sector beasts was still a breeze for him. Come again. 500 gigantic palms appeared once again. Without delay, they caught hold of another 500 sector beasts. Over 1,000 sector beasts in the troop, who were still alive, but were instantly fearful. A sudden grip. All were annihilated. No. How is that possible? Their combined attacks were deadly, but alone, their defense was weak. This was the weakness of a group attack. It was also why the ancient civilization had put together a set of treasures like Pu Luo universe. With tens of thousands of true gods within this Pu Luo universe, their attacks would be strong. Undoubtedly, so would their combined defense. These sector beasts did not possess any treasures. They were weak on their own. Thus, it was nature's course that such a large-scale massacre was possible. 500 gigantic palms appeared 4 times in succession, and close to 2,000 sector beasts were all annihilated. Not a single one was left. This video will end here.